Welcome back, everyone, to the MMA Vivisection with me, Zane Simon, and my co-hosts, Victor Rodriguez and Dio. We are here to talk about RIZIN.12 and shockingly quick turnaround for Japan's largest MMA organization. Honestly, you totally took me off guard. They're having another event already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certainly something, I guess. I don't know. Also, before we start, just to mention, courtesy of this episode is brought to you by Hebrew National, as evidenced by Zane's tank top, and whatever the fuck is going on there. I'm not going to ask any further questions.
Look, I mean, you gotta like they're the best Franks around. I get a free six free a week for wearing this and.
Yeah, and the buns come in packs of 8. Figure that. Ain't that some shit? Yeah. Hey, but like Bloody Elbow in general, we answer to a higher authority. Yeah, that's right, bitch.
No.
No? Okay. All right.
Nah. Okay.
Slogans from the past. I'm the only one who cares.
Swing and a miss.
Hey, you can't all be fire. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Speaking of they can't all be fire, swinging and missing, headlining a card with Yusuke Yache versus Luis Gustavo.
Sweet.
I don't know. I'm sure these fights will be fun, but it's pretty hard to get. Like, probably the most hyped thing I am. The fight I'm singularly most hyped for on this card would be King Reina versus Caitlin Young. Maybe Hyoki.
Yeah.
Like, I have love for Hyoki, and then Reina versus Caitlin Young is the kind of freak fight that I show up for.
Yep. Yeah.
Unfortunately, too, they've also immediately gone back on their last event tease of going to one 10-minute round, 1 5-minute round, and they're right back to 3-5. I don't know what the deal is.
I wish they'd stick to just one thing. Maybe this is a way to placate some of the international fighters, or I don't know what this is. I really wish there was some consistency across the board, but it would be nice if they just went back to 10 and 5. I mean, fans are pretty happy with it, especially with the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like 10 and 5 in the ring is perfect.
It is.
It's 5 and 5 shit.
The nice thing, like one of the things that makes a promotion like RIZIN and made Pride so fun is that fighters who were traveling there and fighting there for the first time had to like adapt a whole new game to fighting there, and it wasn't one that was necessary. It wasn't like, these tools you can't use, elbows you can't, whatever. Obviously, you can, soccer kicks and knees on the ground and all that are added, which is great. But it's just like, no, here's a new surface, and you're gonna have to have cardio for 10 minutes. That's the way it is.
Well, it's a different kind of test, and again, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to. You're going out of your way to stand out as much as what RIZIN's done with some of the more experimental stuff. Why not stick with that? But it's whatever, man.
Yeah. So also on this card is a whole bunch of kickboxing, mostly featuring people that, not being heavy-duty kickboxing nerds, none of us are all that familiar with. Yeah. I'm going to dip in. We're going to skip most of it, but I'm going to dip into MMA Sucka's brief coverage here, mostly to note that people seem kind of hyped about Kaito Ono, who's fighting Sho Ogawa. And Kaito is known as the Prince of Shoot Boxing, the tight pants kickboxing. And he made his RIZIN debut at RIZIN.11, actually. So he just fought at RIZIN.11, beating Yoshiya Uzatsuyo via knockout by knee at 122 of round 2. So he's right back into it at RIZIN.12 as one of the feature kickboxing bouts. Sho Ogawa being a Japanese Muay Thai champion. And everybody else, like, I feel like I should know who. Taiki Naito has also got a long shoot boxing record, and I don't, it's just, there's some other fun bouts on there, but they're nothing that I'm really. I'm sure they'll all be fun, but they're nothing I'm all that familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not like when they've gotten some of the bigger kickboxing stars to be at the top of this, where you're getting like tension and stuff.
Yeah, they should be fun, but it's not really what we're here for.
Yeah. Which means that our first bout that we are actually showing up for, and we don't have odds for any of this, so unfortunately I'm not going to be reading them. First bout we're showing up for, though, is a woman's strawweight bout, Kanako Murata versus Angela Magana of UFC Instagram fame.
Yeah.
And Vic, what are your thoughts here?
Hard
Magana to make a triumphant return?
Hard times, man. Murata is a decorated women's wrestler who has been a complete just a specimen type athlete for a very long time, and she's adapting to MMA. She hasn't really made the translation from freestyle wrestling to wrestling for MMA. She hasn't tailored it, as well as she perhaps could have thus far. But in all fairness, really, she's only got she's got 8 fights in the can. This will be her 9th fight. So there still is room for a lot of adjustment. There are some holes in her striking defense, and Magana does not get enough credit for her jiu-jitsu being really, really good. Now, I don't mean to trash her, but like I've said before, in private and in public, I've never seen somebody move to Thailand for close to a decade and come back with striking that is worse. And I mean, there's going to be some glimmer of hope where Kanako gets Magana on her back and she's able to work something from guard and threaten some submissions, maybe start chaining a few attempts. But I don't think she's actually going to complete anything. This is just going to be Murata just pounding away, and, it won't be pretty, but it's just what it is. The better athlete with a better skill set is just going to be far more dominant.
I mean, Magana hasn't had a win since 2011.
Yeah, there's also that, yes. And, even if you want to give her credit for the loss where she broke her leg against, was it Waterson, I believe? Yeah, it was the Waterson fight. Like,
I don't know what you give her credit for, but
yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, it wasn't a wash, but like, wow, she went through the whole fight with a broken leg. That's, but still, like, no, sorry.
It's really weird to think that at one point she beat Barb Honchak and Jessica Aguilar.
She was one of the best fighters of that time, but that was ages ago. That was close to a decade ago.
Yeah. All right. Dio, you picking Magana to right the ship?
God, no. Like, this is going to be like, Kanako is going to take her down. This is going to be lockdown status all fucking match. Like, it's, sure, she can throw something up like Vic said, but like, Kanako, here's the thing about Kanako Murata. She's only been doing this for like 2 years. So, like, she's, crazy decorated wrestler. She is like she's like ape strong when it comes to like how she grapples with people. Like, it's all functional strength. There's no like, it's not pretty, it's not flashy, but it gets the job done. She's just going to pin Magana down and just beat the shit out of her for like, what is it, 3 5-minute rounds?
Yeah.
And also she's got like the wildly adorable picture on Tapology. So,
True.
Yeah.
I do admit, when you said that Magana might throw something up, I my first thought was like lunch.
That it's Magana, so it's a possibility, and then she'll like try to sell it on Instagram. So
Japanese food doesn't have that kind of reputation. Like, oh well, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to a heavyweight bout. Big boys, Roque Martinez, Kiyoshi Kuwabara. And Dio, who you picking?
I am never going to pick against anybody from Guam. So yeah, like anybody that's like in that Indian Ocean Pacific Island area, I'm not going to like. It's going to be wildly tough. Just preternaturally strong, and the guy that he's fighting against is just about as journeyman as you can get. He
loses all the time in ways that are like really shocking. It's like 0-0 on Ding Ma by decision at Road FC 44.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if you're losing like that at Road FC on a regular basis, one, that's kind of fishy. Two, it's either it's fishy or you just suck. So You know.
Yeah, he's got multiple losses to people with 1/10 of his, or like 1/5 his experience.
Especially that fight. The guy was making his debut. That was a goat fuck of an ugly fight. God damn. Yeah. That's sad, man.
Yeah. All bad. So yeah, I'm going with Roque Martinez because you know what I'm saying.
And he beat he beat Jerome LeBanner and Jaideep Singh. So
oh no, my God, Jaideep Singh. Holy fucking shit. Let me get my pills. Where are my salts? Ugh.
All right, Vic, who are you picking?
Hey, get the fuck out. We really okay, fine. Listen, I'm going with the Guam dude, all right? Because here's the thing. We've seen
I believe is
yes, Guamanian is the proper term. But here's the thing, man. Rook is like super tough. He can at least throw some functional combinations. He's good at stopping a takedown. And the deal with Kuwabara is Samurai Mark Hunt, by the way, is his nickname. I don't know if you guys got to see that. He does not fight like Mark Hunt.
No, he does not.
He's one of those guys.
It does also tell you something too, though, that you look at his Tapology picture, and I was like, oh wait, that's the dude they call Samurai Mark Hunt, and then go find later photos of him, like, oh, you ate your way to that. You ate
exactly. He's doing the reverse Hasegawa. He ate himself out of various weight classes. Like, how do you go from welterweight and now you're fighting a heavyweight, and he's getting beat up by dudes that are not athletic, not good. I mean, even the fights that he wins, he's getting caught with some ugly shots. He's just like, why are you getting dropped like this at this stage of the career? Like, it's just not supposed to happen. So, dude. Martinez all day.
Yeah, and one more thing too. So yes, Samurai Mark Hunt is only 5 foot. Says 5'9". He's realistically like 5'8". If you've seen him match up against the other people that he's fought against. So yeah, it's gonna be all bad for Samurai Mark Hunt.
Oh man! All right, that brings us to the first of the actually like interesting, not quite freakish bouts on the card. Hatsu Hioki, the legend, the former UFC fighter, the former Sengoku champion, I believe, wasn't it?
I believe he was, at one point.
And at one point was the man that everybody thought could beat Jose Aldo.
Yeah, well.
Hey, listen, he tried to tell everybody he wasn't ready, and nobody listened.
Hatsu Hioki is fighting Mikuru Asakura, who's 6-1, featherweight bout, and Vic, who you got?
Yeah, man, Hioki's been on a bit of he's in a slump right now. He's gotten knocked out basically twice in a row. 2017 was not kind to him. He has not, since leaving the UFC, where he got brutalized there by Charles Oliveira and Daniel Hooker. He ended up with 2 nice wins over in Pancrase, but then just got washed. So the thing with Hioki,
this is like 14 seconds and 1:21.
Yeah. Very quick on both. And even though he does have a more complete skill set, he's just got that sort of dangly spider leg approach to his grappling. It's a very there's something very methodical about the way that he sets things up. I just don't know that his ability to take hits and his slower starts for some of his fights are going to be something that at this point have eventually caught up to him to the fullest. And so that's what worries me about this fight here, because Asakura can crack. I mean, the dude can hit, and especially when it comes to setting up combinations that lead to knees to the body and things like that. You let him into close quarters, he's even more dangerous than he is at the mid-range. And I really worry for Hioki here, because it's not one of those things where he's just going to say, well, I need to get this to the ground. It's like he'll get there if he gets there. Right. So I don't really know that that's going to do well for him. This is going to be, it seems to me like this is a great opportunity for Asakura to collect a big name scalp. Hioki does have the veteran savvy and the fight IQ, but it just hasn't been working out lately. And I kind of got to go with the guy who's got the hotter hand here, the young blood with the quicker strikes and better movement at this stage of his career development.
All right. Dio, who are you picking?
I got to go with Asakura on this one. Like, Hatsu Hioki, so like Vic said, that he has good fight IQ, but it's very situational. Like, it's not a fluid fight IQ. Once he's like, he has great IQ when he's grappling on the ground for the most part, but anywhere outside of it, it's like he's never been comfortable on the feet. and especially now, like because what he's been at this since 2002, so he's been fighting since I was in high school.
Yeah,
and like over the past, let's see, like 3-4 years, like he's accumulated a shit ton of concussive damage. Like it's, the last 2 fights, they weren't just like kind of sort of knockouts. These were, these got gifs to oblivion on Twitter. Like they were all highlights. And that's kind of a quick, it's been almost a year, but that's still a really quick turnaround when you've gotten flatlined like that twice. So I just can't go. I just can't pick him, even though he has probably a more complete set. But like he's got some city miles on him.
Yeah, I mean, dude fought in Pride, like
right.
Yeah, back when it was Pride proper, not late stage, not late era Pride either.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you. I don't want it to be true, but especially getting just absolutely blown out of the water by a couple of decent fighters, but like Hiroyuki Takaya is 41.
Right.
Shouldn't be stomping a mud hole in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me, man. Asakura is like has so much more promise than either of those last 2 guys that he beat, and he's able to do exactly what they did. So,
yeah.
All right, there's another kickboxing bout. Taiki Naito, Hanya Hashimoto. Naito being another shoot boxing champion, looks like by all accounts. He got a long record there, so should be fun. And that brings us to King Reina Mura versus Caitlin Young, featherweight bout. And Dio, what do you think?
This is like King Reina fan boy right here all day, but like this
gang.
Yeah, this one feels wrong because like Caitlin Young she hasn't fought in 4 years almost.
Yeah.
She's lost her last 4 fights. Like, and even before that, she wasn't on a great tear. Like, her heyday was in 2007 in one night where she knocked out a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, that,
what a heyday, but yeah.
Like, that's when you have to go all the way back to the days of hook and shoot. And I respect her like a motherfucker when it comes to everything that she's done for Invicta and everything like that. And she is a pioneer of the sport, but she was when it comes to like women's MMA, she was the original one style only person. Mm-hmm. Like if you sit there and stand with her, she's probably going to put you to sleep. Otherwise, if you even grapple with her a little bit, like white belt status, you're probably going to do a good enough to win.
Probably going to win.
You're probably going to win.
Right.
So, yeah, like this is obviously a showcase fight for Reina Mura. Like, is it possible that Caitlin catches her with something? Absolutely. There's always that puncher or kicker's chance. But Reina's taken some wildly hard shots from people in fights before, and she is down for the get down. So it's like she might get pelted by a couple shots, but the moment she gets her hands on Caitlin Young, that's it. It's over. Like it's going to be that, takedown. She's going to look like she falls asleep for a second, and then it's going to be some sort of a brutal submission.
All right. Vic, what about you? You picking Caitlin Young to return with to action with a win?
Okay. In all fairness to Caitlin Young, she has not done MMA in close to 4 years, but she has maintained herself active doing kickboxing.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's not like she's shaking off 4 years worth of rust and stepping in, but it's different. It's a different kind of conditioning, and it's a different kind of style and everything. Like I'm not saying that I have no idea if she's been training grappling to complement her striking in this whole period. I reasonably, one would think that being a complete martial artist, she has snuck in some Well, that's not a fair. She's definitely done some training overall. The problem is what I see is it hasn't been a full-time, full bore kind of thing like someone as dedicated as Miura. You know, like
Right.
say what you will about Miura, like yeah, okay, she's been in a bunch of free show fights, fighting women that outweigh her by like 100 pounds and they're 2 feet taller than her. Fine, but at the very least, you know, she's had a very heavy schedule. She's had some really physically tough competition, not the most technical or toughest style matchup competitors against her, and that's fine. I mean, it's what it is. But I just feel like this is one of those things where Young's going to find some really good success early on, picking her apart from the distance, beating up those legs, targeting the midsection, but trying to be careful not to get those kicks caught, and trying to see if she can keep Miura at the end of her jab. Aside from that, it's like once Miura wades in with an overhand or two and just establishes that clinch, it's just a matter of time before she starts to, you know, first knees to the legs and stuff, and then using one of those inside trips to end up in top half guard and start working and punishing from there. And I mean, she did it to Jazzy Gabbard, who is not a good grappler, but you know, if she can do that to someone as big as that and keep that control, yeah, she can do that to Caitlin Young conceivably. So I think that Young's going to have way more success than some of her other opponents, but I think ultimately it's going to be one of those things where Miura starts putting it on midway through and it just stays out through the end. Nothing but respect for my president, Reina Miura.
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering now how long we're gonna have to wait to get Reina Miura versus Gabby Garcia.
No, I don't know. Gabby just fought in China, in May? So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard any rumblings of that.
Like, I would not be surprised if they try to get it on the New Year's Eve card.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't think that the kind of fight that they should just have out there as like this is going to be what we're building toward. But
yeah, unless they try to have Gabby fight Grandma San one more time, I don't really see why, you know, like that seems like what they've been building to anyway, with the free shows on Miura's side and Gabby, you know, doing whatever the fuck that is.
Yep. Yeah, Gabby fighting tiny women and Reina fighting huge women. It feels like, you know, they're just naturally going to meet in the middle on that.
Oh yeah, it's that New Japan Pro Wrestling style of booking. That's what they're doing right now. It's the long game. It's the long game.
Yeah, but it's too long now. This might be past its expiration date. They should have done this a while ago, it seems to me.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to a welterweight bout. Another former UFC talent, Kichi Kunimoto, taking on Ryuichiro Sumimura and Vic. Who you got? Other than you're wincing at me fumbling through.
No, I just remembered how fucking ugly Kunimoto's fighting style can be sometimes. Oh, okay. It's like it just struck me like, oh yeah, he can really look terrible. I like this fight overall because it's like, okay, these are two guys that are comparable in both skill sets and in their records. Sumimura being perhaps a lesser known element of the two. Riding a nice win streak right now. He's got 6 in a row. He's been, you know, doing great work over at Deep. You know, he's got some finishes. He's pretty much got a very meat and potato style when it comes to Japanese MMA. You know, just pretty fluid boxing, but he takes his foot off the gas a lot, and he's also really there to be hit a little more than perhaps she should be. Whereas Kunimoto is just ass ugly, man. He's gotten a little slicker, man. He's gotten a little trickier because he's a guy who hasn't been like the fastest guy, but he's able to sort of close the distance a little better. He's able to use a little more head movement. I've seen some progression, man. Like he's really gotten better since leaving the UFC. So I got to give him credit on that. And I think he's not only the guy who's better suited to take a punch, but he's also the guy who throws better punches, and he's a lot more active in shifting from striking to grappling and then eventually catching on to someone's neck. So I got to go with Kunimoto by submission here.
All right. Dio, what are you taking Kunimoto to grind this one out?
Yeah. Like, the only, like, it's not like Kunimoto lost to, like, terrible people in the UFC. You know, he lost to Neil Magny, who is, like, a fucking contender killer when it comes to anybody in that weight class. And Zach Otto, you know, he's actually had a pretty decent, you know, go in the UFC. He's had some pretty tough competition. So, like, it's hard to pick against him in this one, it is going to be gross. It is not going to look fun. Like, this is probably, if I stay up to watch this, this is going to be my intermission match. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to our co-main event. Yuki Motoya, Kazuma Sone. I don't know.
Sone.
Yeah. And Dio, who you got?
Like, these dudes have been fighting like forever. Combined.
It seems like forever, yeah.
Like,
it hasn't been that long. It's not Hatsuki. They've been around for a bit, yeah.
No, when I say forever, I mean like in cage time forever. Because they have both of them are, so Sone is 23-15-1, and Motoya is 20-5. Like, not against any like really good competition, so it's like hard to even judge who the fuck to go with. The one time one of them has fought anybody good was when Motoya went up against the Gooch and got washed. Like, this is one of those flip of the coin. Like, this is kind of like, I feel like I'm watching like a match in Outsiders, where you just kind of flip the coin to see which side of the Yakuza gangs that are going against each other. It's like, it's hard to pick here because it's a mirror match of mirrored careers almost. So I'm gonna go with who's got the cooler hair, and neither of them have the cooler hair. Well, Motoya's got the bigger trophy, so I'll go with that.
Motoya's hair seems to me like the one that gets the win. It's like, it's got a cooler aesthetic to it.
Yeah, and he got the big trophy, so there you go. And he hasn't drawn, so there you go.
That's the fine science of fight picking right there, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you're never gonna catch him riding dirty doing that shit that Paris is doing with his hair. So like,
this is true.
This is true. This is
looks like Lego hair.
Vic, who you picking?
Yeah, man, I like this. And Dio struck on something really, really good here, that they have fought some guys that really aren't that good. But I know that this isn't probably the best metric, but in some ways it does make sense that like Motoya has at least looked a lot better at super styling on inferior opposition. And so therefore it shows me in some ways, it gives me the illusion that he's got a higher ceiling and a greater probability of winning this fight, merely by virtue of having, all the skills necessary to really, once you get that kind of cage time and you've been able to progress that much, it's like, it's got to count for a lot. And in certain, you're not fighting someone who is, going to jump in and be the next great champion or something like that. No disrespect to Sone. I mean, he's done some great work in Heat. Like, he's amassed a body of work there, but, between Heat and Shudo and the few fights that he had in VTJ, but I don't know, man. I just don't see it for him. And again, he's a lot more hittable than he does seem at first glance, whereas Motoya is just going to be able to capitalize on that. And he's relentless once he smells blood. So that's one of those things that really makes me cautious about this with any hope to pick Sone. I think he's got a better chance than than it seems to win this fight. I don't know. We don't have any odds or anything like that, but I have to assume that he must be the underdog in this bout. Either way, I got to go with Motoya on this.
Probably going to be brawl of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Should be fun. All right. That brings us to our main event. Yusuke Yachi, Luis Gustavo. Vic, what are you taking?
Okay. Really good fighters, both of them, but it's really kind of unfair, man. Gustavo is a guy who's done pretty much all of his work in Brazil. Bit of a slow starter, gets dropped early in some of his fights, just finds a way to scramble and get to his opponent's back and start working, whether that means going for the submission right away or softening him up until they, have to stand up again. His counter game is not as good as he seems to think it is, and his wrestling is not great. Yachi's been on fucking fire lately. Like, he's just looked really good. And even in some of his losses, he's like, okay, I see what he's going for. So there has been some maturity in some of his later bouts. So I kind of, I don't see really any avenue for Gustavo to win this other than some kind of freak back take. And, he's a specialist at finishing from there, but Yachi's not fighting dumb anymore. He's able to pick this shit up. So I'm going to go with him. Yeah.
All right. Dio?
Got to go with Yachi on this one. Like, it's as we've seen over like the past like want to say like 5 fights that he's had in RIZIN. He can fucking crack.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a kind of sort of like, no, he can really fucking crack. And like Vic said, he's not fighting stupid anymore, because you saw the stuff, especially like when he was in Pancrase and then the beginning fights that he had in RIZIN, where it's like, you've got some really questionable decision making in these fights. But yeah, he's finally starting. I guess he's starting to mature as a fighter. It might just be that he's on a bigger stage now. That will make you progress a lot faster than when you're just fighting in the Pancrases and the PXCs and Shudos, when you're fighting in like Shinjuku Face or like one of these other like small venues that you have all over Japan. So
Shinjuku Face.
No, that's a legit place. I went there.
It sounds funny. It's like, it just reminds me of the Fox News Shibuya Eggman thing.
Oh,
yeah.
It's tiny, and there's Yakuza members all in the audience. It's amazing. But I digress. Also, Yachi's had progressively great hair his entire career, so got to go with that. I'm gonna go with Yachi, probably by KO. I want to say like, because I was gonna say second half of the 10-minute round, but this is 3-5. But yeah, like, as Vic said with Gustavo, like his counter game is not that great, and you can't be a slow starter and have a poor counter game when you want to throw hands. Like when you can do that against some pillow-fisted regional people. When you get onto the international level and you are fighting against people who are noted strikers and have high, accuracy when striking, that's like tailor-made to get slept. This is not going to be like it's not a gimme fight. It's absolutely a pretty good step up in competition, I guess you'd say, because he's not fighting somebody that's old and washed anymore. But yeah, don't really see any way that Yachi loses this one. So yeah.
I mean, I should mention here, just to close out, that Gustavo does have a pretty crafty clinch game. Like, he's really good at brutalizing guys with knees, but it's like, you gotta let him get to that.
Right.
I don't see Yachi doing, like, maybe he'll sneak a knee in or two, but it's like, it's not gonna be that hard for him to disengage and do work where he wants it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is probably his first fight, at least on a big event in a ring, which is always gonna end up with like a little weirdness, a little tentativeness.
Oh yeah, that clinch game kind of goes out the window there. Like if
he does a lot of pressing. I'm sorry.
If you don't have a cage to be able to apply that pressure on, like that's gonna take away a whole lot of that.
He does use a lot of cage leaning to make that clinch work in some of his fights. So
that might just not be an option here.
And one other thing too, so like Yachi, he becomes more dangerous when he gets rocked. It's one of those weird things. Like we've seen it in a couple of the fights where he'll get stumbled and then within like the next 2-3 minutes come back and hits them with something disgusting. So
yeah, should be a good fight. Should be fun. Should be fun. Like I was saying at the beginning of this, the problem for RIZIN with a card like this isn't so much that the fighters aren't good fighters. It's just that they're not like weird fighters. So it's like, oh yeah, should have a good some good, solid, very reasonable performances at the top of this card. But that's not why you're up at 3 a.m.
No, the grand spectacle element is not here. So, I mean, if you're looking for the big flash and the carnival thing, it's not going to happen here, much like the last event. But that's what happens when you have all this and you have people in a contract and you try to spread out these events. Like, this is just what you're going to suffer from. Maybe the next event is going to be.
The last event at least had, you at least got Reina and Kyoji Horiguchi and Yuri Prochazka and Takanori Gomi versus Melvin Guillard and Diego Brandao. Some people that are always like, weird or violent or untrustworthy.
Yeah, that's cute.
This is just kind of like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, this is I mean, it's like, well, this is like, okay, I recognize these names and I've seen them do stuff, but like the potential for violence it's not as volatile a card as the last.
No,
right.
All right. Well, on that note, you can find me on Twitter at TheZaneSam. You can find Vic on Twitter at Vic M. Rodriguez. You can find Dio on Twitter at I'm Just Dio. You can find Vic and I. That's DEO. I'm Just DEO. And you can find Vic and I over at BloodyElbow.com day in, day out. We will be back soonish. I don't know what the next other weird card is.
I think Bellator's next week.
Okay, Bellator's next week. So we'll be back to do Bellator breakdown. I'll be back for the MMA Depressed Us next week. And give this video a like down there, thumbs up. That helps us a ton. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com, DOTCOM, all spelled out, so you get all these video shows, interviews, analysis, lots of stuff we do week in, week out. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you soon.